Howdy, everybody, and welcome back. All right, so podcast for today. Just finished my treadmill, so this is one of those times where I couldn't be on camera if I wanted to be, which I don't. When I'm a sweaty mess like this, no thanks. It all reset already. I try to make sure I do 750 plus calories. I switched over to metric if I want to feel like I'm really going a long distance. I leave it on imperial if I want to make it feel like I've, really run that marathon, but I try to stick to about 4.5 miles. That's what I do. And then I have my shower, and then I go to watch the games. And it's funny? There are days where, with all the videos that need to get done, all the other stuff that needs to get done, that I don't necessarily get the treadmill done. And on those days, I find I have less energy. I do. So that idea that exercise provides a lot more energy is probably true. I don't know. It seems to help anyways. Not that a YouTube comment section would necessarily reflect that, but there's not a lot I can do about the rest of it. At some point in time, you have to just accept that, things look as good as they're going to. You can try as hard as you want to look like John Cena, but not everybody's meant to look like John Cena. He has some genetics that I don't quite have. Anybody who had met my parents would understand. I was taller than my dad, and I'm taller than my mother, and I was way taller than my grandmother, so am I short of stature? Yes. But comparatively speaking to my family, the way that my friend Matt put it in high school, and may he rest in peace, sadly, Matt no longer with us. If Matt was around, I absolutely would have had him on the channel by now. Matt was he was so entertaining. Anyways, he used to like hanging out with my family because he said he felt like he was in a house full of hobbits. He's like, I'm short in my family, but here I feel really tall. I was like, yeah, whatever. Especially when he met my grandmother. He's like, oh my gosh, they're smaller too. Yeah, that's right. But I don't know, I'm pretty happy with how the playoffs have gone. Obviously, when the series go longer, it means more videos, which means more views, which means more subscribers. At the same time, there's a part of me saying, it'll be nice when there's fewer games. Like, for instance, tomorrow, Yvonne and I are actually going to have kid-free time. We haven't had legit kid-free time in, has it been years? No, we had it last year when we were in Vegas, but of course that's different because you're on vacation, and they're still in the back of your mind because two of the kids were here with my mother minding the home and everything, but back in my mind it's like, I really hope they're behaving. I really, really, really hope. So tomorrow we have virtually no stress, and the hockey doesn't start till 4 o'clock, which surprises me. I had expected, with it being a Saturday, that they were going to be like, oh, yeah, let's just keep Shannon working all day through. But nope, 4 o'clock's the earliest start time. My time, of course, Pacific, and I'm happy about that. It means I can do the preview tomorrow morning. Do the video on, who do I have left? Columbus and Anaheim. So I think Columbus is next on the teams that have missed the playoffs. And that playlist, honestly, the timing of that's been perfect. I was going to do 2 a day, and I realized, no, with view counts being where they are, with video view counts being where they are, subscriber base, growing at a pretty good rate, I don't need to do 2 of those per day. I could just do 1, and then it should be timed out where as those series are ending, and I can start talking about teams that have missed the playoffs. So, being in year 7 of doing this, it gets a little easier that I know where I'm headed. One thing that I've realized is now that the taxes are figured out mostly, we never really it's sort of like writing a book, right? Authors always say they don't finish a book, they just abandon it. Taxes are kind of that way when you're self-employed, where you're like, I don't know, yeah, I think I've got everything, and then you find receipts after you've submitted. But we basically just made sure the big ticket items, so like our medical things done to improve the set, things of that nature, things done with our house, making sure all that's been deducted, and that comes straight out. So, I mean, it's nice to get stuff for the set and everything, but if you really want deductions, fix up your house. The thing is, of course, we're renting, so we're fixing up the house and I mean, the landlords are probably going to be pretty happy about that. I think we've driven up the resale value for the house, so might shoot us in the foot eventually, but for now it's fine. I wanted to say too, I've been meaning to do a video on the entertainment guy talking about reality TV. I want to get into that, but I think it's one where I want to have Yvonne with me when we talk about it. Because it almost feels like research at this point. Like every night we watch whichever, whether it's a Chef Ramsay show or it's a dating show, and it's fascinating to people watch. And it's fascinating too to ask ourselves, okay, so which one of these people knows there's a camera on and they're acting for it? Now, I know there's people who think everybody does that and it's all fake. I don't think so. I think the more reality TV you watch, the more you're able to pick out these people are really in it and these people aren't. These people don't. So there's definitely some of that. I wanted to say too. Oh, I wanted to talk a bit about the playoffs. Let me come back to the NHL for a second here. So who am I rooting for? I don't talk about this on the main channel, so I'll talk about it because it posts to the entertainment guy. And then you guys can find out. So obviously Boston and Dallas. I was rooting for Winnipeg. They got knocked out. While I'm rooting for Dallas, I don't mind if Minnesota beats Dallas. It doesn't bother me. Florida, that series, there's a few things that have happened where I'm like, you know what? Boston's got to they got to go. Florida's got to go. I want them out. So, I'm a little more nervous about the Boston series because I'm more emotionally invested in it. And in my history of watching hockey, when I'm emotionally invested in a series, usually it goes the other way. Usually it's like, oh, yeah, all right. Like back in 2009 and 2010, Chicago. I couldn't stand the Blackhawks back then. And both years they took out Vancouver. And in 2010, I didn't even watch the end of the series. I think it was a 6-game series, right? Yeah, I didn't watch games 5 or 6. I was like, I'm done. Nope, I'm done. And when I think the Canucks were down 3-1 and they won game 5, and they're like, "Why aren't you going to watch game 6?" And I'm like, nah, they're done. Nah, that's false hope. I know what that is, and I'm not buying it. And then sure enough, they were out. So, and it's funny too because last night when Vegas was drilling Winnipeg and it was clear Winnipeg was done, I thought to myself, if I didn't have a channel, this is where I would turn this game off and go and do something with Yvonne. But I can't now, which is also what I get worried about with teams I cheer for, because it used to be that case too. Like, oh, okay, so it's 5-1 in the third period. All right, so it's done, and I would turn it off. I wouldn't see the end of it. Well, now I have to watch the whole thing. So, yes, there are benefits to the hockey channel. There are also moments where I'm like, this is kind of agony that I have to watch all this. My team's getting destroyed. This is fun. But, and as I've mentioned before, I've watched hockey since 1981. I've been really ecstatic once when a team won the Stanley Cup, and that was 1999 when Dallas did. I was proud of Boston when they won the Cup in 2011, but how ugly that series was, the riot in Vancouver after, the fact that I wanted Vancouver to win that championship, it was tough. That was not an easy one. And going into that series, I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, the team I cheer for is going to win the Cup. This is great. It's the dream final. And no. I've been asked too if Boston met Dallas in the final, who I would cheer for, and the answer is Boston. But in the other series, I'm cheering for Seattle over Colorado. New Jersey Rangers, I don't really care. It's been a fun series, but man, with the way New Jersey's come back, it'd be great to see them finish that out. I think if it was them in Carolina, that could be fun. Red and black versus red and black. The Carolina Islanders series, I'm kind of rooting for the Islanders because I still have a soft spot for Horvat. Yeah, I know what he said about Vancouver. I know how many fans hate him. I get it. I'm not one of those fans. I don't hate Bo Horvat. I can't. One of my favorite players in Vancouver for such a long time. I can't just hate on him now. And then what other series are there? Did I cover all of them? Oh, Edmonton, LA. I'm rooting for the Oilers. I'd like to see the Oilers win. Tampa Bay, Toronto. I'm absolutely rooting for the Leafs. But as I mentioned in a live stream yesterday that went out to members and patrons, one of those live streams we have once a week. I do worry that Toronto would beat Tampa. So let's say Toronto beats Tampa, and then Boston beats Toronto. The narrative's going to change to, well, that win over Tampa doesn't count because Tampa was so exhausted from those 3 Stanley Cup playoffs where they went to the finals. For instance, when Tampa gets knocked out, we will find out about injuries that are plaguing some of their players. And so that'll be used as an excuse to say, well, yeah, Toronto won a series, but not really. that doesn't really count. So that's what I'm worried about. And I'm putting the cart before the horse. But if they beat Tampa and then Boston beats Toronto, that might nullify the gains made by the Leafs. That very well could nullify those gains. And I don't know, does that save Dubas's job if they went around, but then they lose in the second round? Like, especially if it's a 5-game series or a sweep. Does Dubas keep his job? Like, I think Toronto needs to go to the conference final to ensure that both Dubas and Keefe keep their jobs for next year. But anyways, I just wanted to do a quick little podcast for all you fine people on the internet. Cats are having on bug watch today. You can really tell that it's spring and it's really warm out. It's 27 Celsius today. So that's around 80 Fahrenheit, I think. But yeah, you can tell because the two youngest cats we have, they're finding flies and mosquitoes and whatever other kinds of bugs have decided, hey, it's spring, let's go in the house. So, yeah. Anyways, there's Azrael, because I said the word cat too many times. So she's like, what's this going on? What's going on over here? Hi, sweetie. Good kitty. Have anything to say? Okay. I don't know if you can hear her purring or not, but she's a sweet little cat. We have 5 of them, so that's always fun. But anyways, yeah, I enjoyed doing my Flash video today. I know nobody watches them. That's okay. I consider it more of a therapy thing than anything else, and that's kind of fun. It just reminds me that when I started out that I had visions of talking about TV and things on TV, and when I see the view counts on anything I talk about from TV, I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm really glad I went towards hockey, because I never would have actually grown a channel. Nothing ever would have happened. I would have been stuck in the, few hundred views per video range, and I'd still be at the old job that I had, which would be kind of depressing. But at any rate, there you go. Thank you guys for listening, for your time, and I'll do another one soon. I just wanted to do one now and say hi to everybody. So there you go. Hi, and I'll talk to you again soon.